Hello and welcome to the Rabblecast. My name is Eric Hernandez. I don't remember the episode number because I'm jacked up on caffeine. Vietnamese coffee once again for the win! That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Coffee and caffeine have powered this episode one more time. I think this is my third episode on this stuff. It works wonders. If you haven't tried it, I highly recommend it. Get yourself a friend named Dan, and he will give you coffee, and then it does this. Trust me, it works for the show. On this episode, don't worry, Doug's here with me as well, just not in the intro. We talk about a bunch of different things. We go down rabbit holes. We have fun. Coffee is just one of the things that we start talking about, and then from there, we talk about Mike Tyson. We talk about Sylvester Stallone, Rocky. We talk about, once again, we get back to The Crow, the Mahoning Drive-In. A bunch of different things happen. I don't remember half because the caffeine's already blocking the past from me, but I'm enjoying it. I can see the future. I have a vision. It's bright. It's shiny. It involves all of you listening to this episode. With that said, we are brought to you by InsidePulse.com. You can find us under the different sections over there. Games, comics, movies, celebrities. You know it. Go check it out. Don't pretend you don't know. You can also find the show over at Rabblecast.libsyn.com, where the show lives and breathes always. Check us out on YouTube, youtube.com/Rabblecast. Send us a tweet at Rabblecast. Check out the Rabblecast Facebook fan page. Email us, rabblecast@gmail.com. Comments, feedback, stories, whatever you like. We love listening to your stories and your emails. Please, send them all over. You can also find the show over on Apple Podcasts. Download us and take us on the go. Also, recently on Spotify. I have to say it because if you guys ask me, hey, how do I find the show? It's everywhere. Download it. Rate us. Follow us. Subscribe to us. Whatever the case is, it helps the show. When you leave a comment and you put that 5-star on there, it helps the visibility of the show and puts us out further so more eyeballs and more ears can, hey, I see it on my phone. Hey, let me download it so I can enjoy it. And there you go. We're with you always. Okay, and the caffeine's really working on me now. It starts subtle in the show and then ramps up from there. But I'll leave you to it. Let's get into it. Enjoy the show.
Here we are, another episode of the Rabblecast. How do you feel, man?
I'm tired. I got some caffeine in me, so I'm just waiting for it to hit. Jen was nice enough to help me out and got the cup of coffee made, but the problem was, I don't know, maybe it's just me. When you drink coffee, do you prefer to drink it hot or cold?
Depends on the time of year and the time of day.
See, for me, it depends on just how fast I want the caffeine in me.
Okay.
If I want just the caffeine, if I just want the high, and if I just want the caffeine to start kicking in as soon as possible, I'll go for a, iced coffee or, lukewarm cup of coffee, whatever the case is. I don't care. I just want the caffeine to do its job at that point. But if I have time and, maybe like a morning drive or we're going out to a show, or if I know I got some leisure time, I'll get a hot cup of coffee. I don't care if it's summertime or whatever. I'll take my time, drink it, sip at it, and then let it work slowly. But it's funny how sometimes I remember there was an episode of Mark Maron's TV show, I think, which is called Maron, and it's loosely based on his real life. And this one episode where he goes to local coffee place, and the barista, for whatever reason, is very snooty.
Okay.
So when he asks for his, I don't remember what he ordered, a fancy cup of coffee, whatever it was, but he asks for it over ice. And the barista says, no, we don't serve it over ice. We serve it hot. And he goes, look, dude, I don't want the hassle. I just want the ice. I just want my coffee over the ice. I just want the caffeine in me. I'm addicted. Just give me my fucking drug. And that stuck with me. I'm like, holy shit, I'm the same way. I just want, like, if I want the caffeine, just give me the damn thing. Otherwise, I'll just, like, buy a bottle of soda, whatever the case is. But I'm trying to be a little bit more healthier these days. So, a cup of coffee is a little bit better, especially if you're drinking it black with very little, like, added to it. So, no sugar. Maybe, I guess, now, what do they put in nowadays? Like almond milk or oat milk or coconut milk. Whatever.
I'll tell you this.
Sure.
I'll tell you this. Oat milk, not bad. The other ones, not so much.
I've tried the oat milk, and I will agree, not bad. I went to Costco the other day, and I thought I was being, a good husband. Because Jen's like, oh, I'd rather drink, I think she said coconut milk or something like that. I can't remember what she was asking for specifically. I bought it. I thought it was the right type. I brought it home like, look, I saved some money and I bought you some whatever milk. Come to find out it's almond milk. I'm like, motherfucker. Suffice to say, it wasn't the right alternative milk, but still we had it and I ate it with cereal. I'm like, you know what? This isn't half bad. I mean, granted, like, you got to make sure that you don't get extra sugars and everything else. Thankfully, this one did not have anything added to it. But I was like, okay, I can see why some people prefer this over the regular dairy, especially because your stomach's not, gurgling later on. You're not, blowing out massive farts because your body's just like, nope, we don't do milk anymore. Sorry. Mm-hmm. So it makes things a little bit easier, especially when you have to share a living space with another human being. So it makes it more easy to commingle. Let's put it that way. But no, it's one of those things. Like, if you want caffeine, like I remember back in the day when I used to work in retail, we would always buy soda, whatever the case was. And back then, I ballooned up. I can only imagine what I weighed back then. But I was drinking a lot more soda just to get me through the day because, well, retail and customers, let's face it, not exactly a pleasant experience all the time, especially in the area that we lived in. But you just want the caffeine. You just want, get that energy, that get up and go. Nowadays, I'm really realizing a lot of the energy drinks that are on the market have pretty much eliminated sugar from their ingredients.
Yeah.
Now it's like vitamin B and C and taurine and magnesium and everything, and whatever else they can fit in there that the FDA kind of approves. I think most of them aren't even like past the FDA. So
well, a lot of them are. Do you remember the 5-Hour Energy?
Yes. Oh, yes. I remember that fondly.
A lot of them are basically 5-Hour Energy with some other bullshit thrown in the mix. So it's like the taurine, the guarine, like massive shots of vitamin B12.
Yep.
All that kind of nonsense. So, that's what the trick is with that. It's funny because it depends on your body chemistry. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't.
So when I used to work at a lab second shift, every now and then, because of the performance testing that we did, I would be asked if I would be willing to stay overnight to get additional units put through the system. Mm-hmm. Overnight being, we get there at a certain time. We usually get out between 11 and midnight. So now I'd be getting out between 7 and 8 in the morning on top of my regular shift. So I was like, yeah, sure, no problem. I'd bring my laptop, watch DVDs or movies, whatever the case was. I really wasn't hooked up to Netflix at the time. So I think I was like watching Heroes on DVD at the time.
Okay.
And we went out to dinner, the second shift crew, for our break. And I'm at Quick Check. And I'm like, oh, 5-Hour Energy. You know what? I might need one of these later tonight because I'm going to be up all night. Might as well take one. Mind you, I'm in like my mid-20s at the time.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, sure, no problem. Like you said, vitamin B12, taurine, guarine, whatever else that they threw in the mix. As it got later into the evening, I timed it out. So around like midnight, 1 in the morning, I was like, you know what? Let me take this now. It'll get me through the rest of the night, and I'll be all set. I think one other guy stuck around with me until a certain point in the night, and he looks at me. He goes, "Are you all right?" And I was literally like shaking. I was like, I don't know what the fuck is wrong with me. Because what did you eat? What did you like? I had one of those 5-Hour Energies. He goes, "Are you going to be okay?" And I'm looking at the ingredients, making sure there was like nothing in there that was out of the ordinary, or like out of the ordinary for what it was. And I'm like, I don't see anything that's crazy. And I mentioned like all the different ingredients, and my buddy's like, "Oh yeah, vitamin B. You can get an overdose of vitamin B. Maybe that's what's going on." So I look it up real fast on my phone, And sure enough, if you have an overdose of vitamin B, I can't remember what it's called, but essentially your skin gets really flush and you just start to sweat profusely.
Okay.
And all those little symptoms just hit me all at once. I started sweating. My face was all red. I just couldn't sit still. He goes, just try to walk around a little bit. Maybe you'll just like work it out of your system. I'm like, I don't know, dude. They say 5-hour energy. I'm like 20 minutes in. Sure enough, like all this stuff started happening. I was wired for the rest of the night. He even looked at me at one point. He goes, "You sure you don't want me to stick around? Because you don't look right. We don't want to find you dead in the morning." I was like, I think I'm fine. Like my heart doesn't feel like it's going anywhere. Like everything else is good, but it just feels like I need to like run through a wall, or at least 12, and I'll be fine. Sure enough, I made it through all my like different testing. I did all my chores, whatever the case was. I was like even cleaning up my station, like, tidying up everything that I could. I just had excess energy and I could not stop moving. By the time my coworkers show up in the morning and they look at me like, "What the fuck happened to you?" And I looked at them and was like, 5-hour energy. If you need it, I recommend it. It's fucking great. Hold on 1 second. I got to go clean. Suffice to say, it worked. It gave me weird feelings. I never really tried it again after that. If I did like a handful of times more, I didn't take a full shot. I just took like half of it.
Okay.
That way I wouldn't get as jittery. But I was like, wow, man, this is fucking weird. But what was the other one? Recently now, The Rock. The Rock has his own energy drink now called Zoa.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've had it.
I've had a couple. I usually drink some in the morning, like before lunch, just, get my caffeine for the day, and that way it'll push me through the rest of the day itself. Water bottle just cracked. What the fuck? I'll take one of those, and I'm good. Like, it's got a decent taste. Again, a bunch of vitamin B, C, whatever else, some fruit flavors. Makes a nice little mix. What's some of the other ones? Rockstar Energy. And now the one that's been showing up a lot, C4 energy drinks.
Oh, yeah.
So, and they're getting a little more creative with the flavors. So they had like orange creamsicle, some kind of like not Hawaiian punch, but like a mango punch. I don't know. They've come up with these different flavors and everything else. My favorite one is the Freedom popsicle flavor.
Okay.
So if you ever like go to the ice cream truck in the summertime, which we're pretty much in at this point, we're in June, but when you get the rocket pops, it's like red, white, and blue, and it's got like this distinctive shape. That's the image on the can. Like, oh, it tastes just like a rocket pop. They just call them like Freedom whatever punch. I was like, okay, try it out, see what's going on. Some of them are hit or miss. Don't get me wrong. Not every flavor is amazing. It's kind of like a bag of Doritos. Sometimes they get a little overboard with the flavors they come up with nowadays. But if you're willing to try something and you're willing to go just for the extra like oomph for caffeine, it's worth a shot. But sometimes you get some really flavors. You're just like, what the fuck? Why? Who thought of this? Why is this my hell?
I think the worst one I've had so far is Bang.
Which flavor?
Fuck, I can't remember. I think I've had 2 or 3, and I didn't like any of the flavors of Bang I tried. I usually, if I'm going to have an energy drink, which I try to only do once in a while, I usually drink Celsius.
Those are pretty good. I've had a couple of those.
Yeah.
Bang, I tried those out initially. Those were pretty good, but like you said, like you get a flavor every now and then. I think the only one I really liked was like the peach mango.
Okay.
But yeah, no, it's weird. Like in every, like if one company has an orange creamsicle, and then you try another company's orange creamsicle or the whatever equivalent is, it's funny to see how different the flavors are.
Okay. Yeah. Well,
the profiles
everybody's got their own shit.
Yeah, the formulations, the profiles just don't quite match up. So you got to be careful because you're like, oh yeah, I like fruit punch. I'll try that one. And then you try one company's fruit punch. You're like, oh, what the fuck is that? It feels like someone just pissed in my mouth.
The one I won't drink is who's that douchebag? Logan Paul.
Oh yeah, what is his Prime?
Yeah, Prime. I won't even drink that because I think he's such a fucking tool bag.
I completely agree with you, and maybe that's because we're older. But the funny thing is, we were watching wrestling one day, And of course, Logan Paul's on WWE at this point. And they're leveraging his YouTube fame to hopefully get more eyeballs on the product. But he's cut a deal with WWE, and that means that he now, like, I think it was at WrestleMania? Was it Mania?
Where they had the Prime cart?
Yes, the hydration station, which kept being used in different matches. But no, there was another event where he had the Prime logo on, I don't know if it was the turnbuckles or if it was on the mat itself.
I think it was the turnbuckles.
And my son's watching. He goes, "Oh, Logan Paul. Oh, Prime. I want to try one of those." Like, I will never buy you one of those. It's like, if you want one of those, you save up your money and you can try it out, but I am not buying you one of those. Actually, you're not trying one of those. Those are energy drinks. You're 8 years old. You don't need those.
No, 8-year-olds do not need motherfucking energy drinks.
Yeah, I was like, not happening. I'm going to water it down with like a liter of water before they let you try that shit. So,
and it's also a bummer too, because the guy is actually a pretty freaking good wrestler.
Well, that's just it. Yeah.
And that's what kills me, is he's a good wrestler, but unfortunately he's also a colossal douche.
His moments with Ricochet in WWE have been amazing. Like legit highlight reel stuff. But yeah, because of him and his brother, they just, I don't know, they have a chip on their shoulder, or maybe they just, they're let the fame go to whatever way you want to put it. They just carry themselves in a very, very, yeah, you're right, very douchey way, I guess is the short way to say it. But he can perform. They are both athletes. Hey, who knew? If you wanted to be a professional wrestling, all you would had to do was be a douche and be really fit. Go figure.
Yeah, funny how that works out.
Likewise, his brother, who was supposed to be fighting Mike Tyson, I think that either got delayed or got called off.
It's delayed out a couple of months. I don't know if that fight's actually going to happen or not. It would be funny just because people don't realize how dangerous Tyson still is.
Yes. There was, only because I listen to Rogan on a regular basis. He's had Mike Tyson on a couple times. The one time he had him on was his, Mike Tyson, when he was doing his life story on stage, he wasn't competing. He wasn't really like working out. And Rogan asked him, like, do you ever consider, getting back into ring shape? And he goes, no, I really don't want to. I don't want to ignite my ego. And Rogan's like, what do you mean by that? He goes, I get this feeling when I start getting competitive, this monster, gets unleashed essentially. I'm paraphrasing. And Rogan's like, all right, no problem. And they talk about other stuff, whatever the hell is going on. And then a few months later, maybe like a year later, he comes back. Now his match with, I think it was Evander Holyfield was announced. So they're going to have an exhibition fight. And now Mike's back in the gym. He's training. He's drilling. And Joe Rogan at the time had just set up a new studio. And he goes, oh, you know what? I think I want to get a table that's a little bit more narrow. I want to be closer to the guests. That way it'd be like more of an intimate conversation. Because this big ass table, like sometimes I feel like, they're so far away. I mean, yeah, we can hear each other in the headphones and we can see each other, but if we're closer, maybe it just gives the more of an intimate feel. He has Mike Tyson on when he's training. He admits he legit got scared because Mike was giving off these vibes like he might kill somebody. And Rogan's like, fuck that. Regular table, big table, wide table. Don't need that motherfucker any closer than he was. Because he's talking about like conquerors and historical figures and how you're supposed to defeat your enemies and finding all the weaknesses. And like he was a different Mike. Like you could see him and you can hear him when he's talking. Like he had this hunger. Like he was going to rip Evander's head off, even though it was only an exhibition match. So considering that he was supposed to go up against, was it Jake Paul was the other brother?
The other one.
He had the fight against Evander. I think he had a second fight somewhere in there with another boxing legend. They were just doing it, just for the views essentially and for the money. And then out of nowhere, this Jake Paul match is announced because Jake is running around and trying to take on different people in the fighting industry. I can't remember some of the other people that he's fought in the past. But the idea was just to say, oh, I can take down all these different fighters who claim that they're legit, whatever the case is. Ben Askren was one of them, was a former MMA. He admits, Ben Askren barely actually like trained for the fight. He just did it for the payday.
Okay.
So, but leading up to the fight with Tyson, everybody's saying, oh, there's a rumor going around that Tyson was actually given incentive not to knock out Jake Paul in the first round. Like, if you don't knock him out, we'll give you X amount of dollars bonus. So it's like, wait, you don't want him to knock him? Like, this is a fight. Mike Tyson doesn't know anything other than attack, attack, attack.
Yeah, but you're also talking about a industry that is slightly less fake than professional wrestling.
It's very true.
And let's be honest here. Most of these fucking fights are fixed. The Pride fights were fucking fixed. I'm sure fucking Dana White has quietly whispered to guys, it's like, make sure, please don't knock this guy out in the first round, make this last, and stuff like that. Because they want longer, exciting fights. They want more stand-up. They want less ground stuff. Mm-hmm. Why? Because it's more interesting. And just like how they want people to do stupid shit and say stupid shit at the fucking pressers and the weigh-ins. Why? Because it adds to the fucking... Because unless you're like... The only people who like it when it's just two guys who go out there and weigh in and say, oh, my opponent is very tough. I'm going to have to fight very hard, and I've trained hard, and hopefully I will be able to beat him. But even if I lose to him, there's no shame in that because he's a good, tough fighter. No, they want them shit-talking. Because most people want that kind of nonsense. Yeah. And that's why most MMA fans fucking suck, in my opinion. To be perfectly honest with you.
Well, yeah, you're right, because it takes a certain... I don't know. It's... Most of those fans are the fans who, once somebody loses, they start shit-talking the fighter online. Like, oh, I could fucking beat you. I can't believe you're such a pussy. Mm-hmm. Most of these guys, like, to compete in the UFC or just MMA in general, like, they'll take your head off. They are trained fighters. In most cases, maybe even trained killers. But it's funny that some knucklehead at home on his couch with like a beer belly who's barely ever like lifted a weight is like, oh, I can beat you. I can take you on. You don't know how hard I hit.
These are the same people who are like, oh, you don't know, man. I just go crazy in a fight and I could take anybody down. It's like, but you can be as crazy as you want. These are people who are trained fighters. And and speaking of Tyson, what's that great Tyson quote? Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face.
Exactly. Yes.
Yep.
That's why I'm sure Dana White and the UFC loved Conor McGregor to a certain extent because he was a wild card and still is. He goes out there and just, goes crazy. So a lot of the shit he was talking with Habib Nurmagomedov. Sorry, it took me a second. In the battles between the two of them and the lead up to the fights and all the crazy stuff backstage. And McGregor was just hard to handle. And finally, when they got into the cage and Nurmagomedov just destroys him, there's a moment, and I love this moment because I go back and watch the match every now and then, where Habib actually has him on the ground and is just pummeling him with punches. And all he says to McGregor is, you want to talk now? Bam, bam, bam. You want to talk now? And McGregor's only response is, it's just a show, man. It's just a show. He's like, oh shit, somebody actually is, shutting me up. What do I say? Hey, don't punch me in the face. I'm sorry I made fun of you and your family. All he could say is like, oh, I just did it for the buy rates. Muhammad Ali did the same thing.
Yeah.
For anybody who has ever followed Ali's fighting career, there was the one guy he fought, the Bayonne bleeder, Chuck Wepner, who was the inspiration for Rocky and Sylvester Stallone's film. He is the real life Rocky. Well, there's this one story, the one story that Wepner tells when they're going on one of the talk shows to talk up their fight. Because, long story short, Wepner and Ali were having a fight. And during the fight, there is this moment where when Ali goes this, move back to evade, doing his usual antics, Wepner steps on his foot. Whether it was inadvertent or purposely, that's up for debate. But when that happened and Ali goes to evade, Ali goes down. And suddenly, Ali, who was thought of like almost as unbeatable, got taken down by this white guy.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone's like, what the fuck just happened? And because of that, that sparked this whole thing. Oh, they're going to have a rematch. Oh, it's going to be crazy. There was this moment where they're going on a talk show and they're talking about the rematch. And Ali is just hyping it up. He's being loud. He's being, boisterous. When they're backstage, he's talking to Wepner. He goes, when we're out there, call me the N-word. And and Wepner's like, what? He goes, call me the N-word. They'll eat it up. He goes, no way. Wepner had enough, of a mindset to say, I know what you're doing. Yeah, it would probably like incite the fans, especially your fans. But that's just bad for me. So how about no? Of course, Ali goes out there and he's getting in his face and getting all loud and has the microphone. And Wepner's not a talker; he's a fighter. So he's just like pretty much trying to like keep up with him, but at the same time, he's like, I'm just gonna wait for the bout and see what happens. But Wepner, again, Bayonne leader, known to just take a pummeling in his fights and just a lot of times would not go down. It's just funny how, if you look into the whole story of Wepner and Stallone and the Rocky movies and that controversy, that became a whole other thing. But I heard a funny story, actually, real quick, since the caffeine is kicking in on my end. So it's opening up the file cabinet when we mention names. There's a story I just heard recently about Sylvester Stallone when he was writing the story or the script for Rocky.
Okay.
So he sees them, Ali and Wepner fight. He's live in attendance for that fight. And after he sees the fight, he gets inspired. He goes, that's it. That's the story. That's what I got to write. So he writes the first Rocky film. He takes the script to different places. And, it's hard enough to get anybody to read the script, let alone like have a interview with them. So much so that one place he went to, he waited. And the guy, whatever executive or producer, told me, oh yeah, I'll be later. Just give me a second. I got this meeting. I got that meeting. Oh, I'm a little bit late. I'll talk to you in a little bit. Left Stallone out in the waiting room for the longest time. It got to the end of the night. Stallone stays overnight. Says, fuck this. I'm going to talk to this guy. The following day, the guy shows up and goes, you're still here? He goes, you said you'd meet with me. I was all right. Fucking come in. Let's talk this out. Goes to the script. He goes, we love the script. Well, all right, let's talk price. And I can't remember what the dollar amount was. Mind you, at this point in Stallone's life, he's broke. His I don't know if it was his wife or his girlfriend was upset with him because she was like, just go get a job. And he goes, this is my job. I'm writing. I'm gonna go into movies. That was his whole plan. All this tension and stress is happening, and then they're like, all right, we'll give you X amount of dollars for the script. He goes, great, but the only way this works is if I get to be in the movie. And they're like, you what? He goes, I'm Rocky. He's like, no, absolutely not. Take your script, have fun, see you later.
Yeah.
About, I don't know, a couple days or a week later, whatever the case is, they call him back and say, hey, look, let's talk this out. How about we'll give you, and they, bump up the pay. I think it was like, they went from like 100,000 to like 200,000. I think they went up to like 350,000 back then to say, okay, you'll be in the movie. We'll take the script, but we got to find somebody else. We got to get a star to be in the movie. And Stallone, who has no money to his name, who at one point even sold his dog, I think for like $100, pawned his wife's jewelry. So she wasn't happy at that point, especially.
Nope.
Finally, the studio relented and goes, all right, tell you what, you want to make this movie so damn badly. How about this? We will give you $50,000 and we'll give you points. Because that way, if this movie fails, you're going to feel it too. We're not the only ones who are going to take a hit on this one. So Stallone's like, yeah, I'll take it. Fucking let's do this. So he finally, by being persistent and just badgering the studio, they have eventually give in to his demands. Now he's going to be Rocky. Now he's going to have a chance to go and fulfill his dream that he's been wanting to do ever since he saw that fight.
Mm-hmm.
Then he gets the money. And I believe it was like $50,000. Don't quote me on that one. I might be off on the number slightly. But now at this point, he goes, you know what? I want my dog. Like, fuck, man. My dog has like always been really loyal to me, always gives me, unconditional love. I was fucking stupid to sell him. What the hell? So he goes back to the liquor store where he sold the dog. And he's waiting and waiting. I can't remember like how many days or hours he spent out there. But he's looking for the guy. Eventually, he finally runs into the guy. And he goes, hey, do you remember me? A while back, I think it was like a couple weeks or months ago, I sold you my dog. And I really regretted it, man. Would you be willing to take $500 for him? It's 5 times what what you paid for him, but I'd really like to have him back. And the guy's like, no, absolutely not. He goes, all right, how about? And he starts like going up the number. How about $1,000? He goes, no amount of money that you would give me would make me part with this dog. I love the dog. The dog's amazing. I don't know why you sold him in the first place. I understand you might have had hard times, but no, we love the dog. Finally, Stallone. I was like, all right, how about this? How about I give you $35,000 and you can be in my movie? He goes, what movie is this? He goes, I just got a script sold. I'm going to be in the movie. It's called Rocky. It's about a boxer. How about I give you a role in the movie? I just want my dog back. If you watch the movie, there's a dog in the film. That dog is Stallone's actual dog.
What scene?
I don't remember off the top of my head. It's been so long since I've seen Rocky off the top of my head. But The guy who also sold him the dog, or, whatever the case, the guy who he's haggling with at this point is also in the film as well. I gotta look up what scenes they were specifically, but it's been quite some time. But I was like, oh, look at that. Like, not only did he sell his script, get a chance to be in the movie, which launched his career essentially, he got his dog back. He spent almost all the money he got from being in the movie. But he also gave the guy a spot in the film. Now that guy, he's like, I had Stallone's dog for a while, whatever the case is. That was his like claim to fame, whatever the case. But I was like, wow, how fucking crazy is that? And then if you want to go down the rabbit hole of Stallone with the Rocky franchise, that's a whole other story, because ultimately he didn't own the rights to the Rocky franchise, and it was something that he really regretted down the line, especially when they started doing the Creed movies. And then he kind of like lost, I wouldn't say control of it, because it really wasn't his to begin with, but he lost whatever influence he had as the Creed movies continued. So like at the first one, he had something to do with it. The second one, he's in, obviously. But by the third one, he's, I don't know if they killed him off or if they just don't mention him.
I don't know. I saw the first Creed. I still haven't seen the second or third ones.
Second one's fun. Don't get me wrong. But if you're going to continue like trying to squeeze the Rocky films for everything that they're worth, there was only so much Stallone could do. And of course, Stallone had ideas and he wanted to change things, whatever the case was, as he's had with any project that he's involved with. But yeah, no, by the third one, it's very formulaic. It's not horrible. It's just a different line of storytelling at that point. Because once you get past the Rocky, you're like, all right, Rocky was the stepping stone for the Creed franchise. Apollo Creed's kid, Adonis Creed, decides to take up boxing, take up the sport. But by that point, you're like, all right, without Rocky, is it really the same? I don't know if it stands as strong without him. I don't know. It felt kind of weird by the third one, but hell, it made money. And what's his name? Michael B. Jordan has carved out a nice little place for himself in Hollywood with the Creed movies. Not to mention his stint in Black Panther as Killmonger.
And of course, let's not forget The Wire.
He wasn't really that much of a prominent character in that one.
He was prominent in the first season.
Ah, fair enough. Okay.
Well, I mean, he would. Yeah, spoiler alert for a 22-year-old TV show. But I mean, they did kill him off at the end of the first season. But he figured into season one pretty prominently, in my opinion.
Fair enough. I was just thinking more like, one season, he was a lot younger at that point. But then again, you go back and you watch that show, and there's a lot of faces in that.
Hell, it was a hell of a shock to me when I finally figured out Idris Elba was British. he speaks so like he sounds so naturally like American. I'm like, yeah, he is definitely he. Oh, he must be an American. I was like, oh, wait a minute, he's British. What the fuck?
Yeah, isn't it
So,
scary how well they can pull off American accents?
well, he's also that good of an actor too. So,
Well, it's him. Who's the other one? Andrew Lincoln from The Walking Dead. I don't know if you remember that one. He was the main character.
oh yeah, I remember that dude. Yeah.
And it's just like when they pull off the accent, like an American accent, you're just like, wow, like that's eerie how you
Wait a
can
minute,
fucking do that.
hold up. Andrew Lincoln is British.
Yes.
Get out of town. No kidding.
Yeah. I do it to you again.
Well, no, it's also one of those things too where I never really got into The Walking Dead. I tried. It did not. I forced myself through the first two seasons, and then after that, I just stopped caring.
Yeah, that's fair. There's only so
Yeah.
much dread and despair that one can take.
Well, no, it wasn't even so much that. It was the fact that they treated the zombies as more of like a force of nature for their interpersonal horseshit.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Yes.
Yeah, I wanted them. I was like, oh, cool, they're gonna fight zombies all the time. This will be fucking awesome. And it's like, no, I don't want to watch these douchebags like bicker with each other about whatever nonsense they are. It's like just shoot each other. Who gives a fuck?
Yeah, it was a soap opera with zombies. Is essentially
Yeah,
what it came out
that's
to.
yeah. I was kind of killed off John Bernthal when he was yeah. I think they killed him off first season.
He was no, he survived to the second season.
Oh, okay.
I think his stint culminated in the second season, and then later on down the line they did do like flashback scenes, and every now and then they'd call him up just to make a cameo appearance. But yeah, no, that became a whole other thing with The Walking Dead because you hear The Walking Dead and you're like, oh great, zombies. Then you find out that The Walking Dead, the title is really not just the zombies, but it also stands for whoever is still a human left in this, post-apocalyptic world where we're now trying to, I guess, rebuild society or civilization.
Kind of, sort of.
Because every time they run into another group, all hell just breaks loose.
Yeah.
Like, we can't have nice things. This is why. My favorite is when they talk to Robert Kirkman, the creator of the series. Or I should say co-creator. He actually has another person that he can thank for that. But just about every time when they ask him, like, oh, you made the series and you come up with the different stories. How would you survive in a zombie apocalypse? He goes, survive? Fuck that. I'm going to kill myself.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, what? They're like, no, I don't want to go through this bullshit. Read the stories. It's bad enough. No, fuck that. I'm going to hang myself. I was like, holy
I would
shit.
preferably inflict so much damage to my head just to ensure I don't come back as one of the living dead.
Well, there you go. Now you're thinking ahead. Well, you also have the forethought of, the knowledge of the series. But at the same time, like, imagine a world where we didn't have zombies. And this is now we're having this weird shit, this phenomenon happening where the dead rise. Whether, if you want to take the religious route and say, oh my God, the gates of hell have opened up. Hell is full. But people come back from the dead. They're running around. They're starting to eat everybody else. And you're just like, what the hell is going on? You either survive on your own, find a group of like-minded people, or just keep walking the earth at that point.
Yeah.
It's just like there's no happy ending. There's no, we made it, we did it. Like, you might be lucky to find water, like clean water to drink, but it always comes down to the idea of like, oh, we're such an advanced civilization. Are we? If I put you in the middle of the woods with little to no food and water, can you build a cell phone? Do you know how to build a car or some kind of vehicle that gets you to and fro? No, you're fucked. There are a bunch of smarter brains out in the world that come up with the different things, design, engineering, art, research, and development. And yes, don't get me wrong, human civilization benefits from what can be made. But the majority of us, we don't know how to build things. We don't know how to, make a shelter or, survive the night with, little to no warmth or fire, whatever the case is. I mean, hell, you ever watch those shows, Naked and Afraid?
Yeah, I'm familiar with them.
Two people put in the woods. They barely know each other. They have very little items that they're given as far as luxury, quote unquote, and they have to try to survive for like, what, a week, a month, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
And the funny thing is watching them try to build fires most of the time. Because if they don't ask for like a certain item that might help them make a fire, now they're stuck trying to like rub two sticks together or find stones, whatever the case is. It's just like, oh man, my tinder's wet. You know, it's really humid out here, so there's no fire happening. And they'll go days without eating normally because they just can't make a fire.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that simple. Like you just don't know, you know, what to do, what your alternative is, and just how the fuck can you figure it out? And well, it's nice that they give you two people, you know, you and a stranger, but then that also leads to the drama aspect of the show. Somebody's like, oh, I'm hungry, I'm tired, I stepped on something, my foot's all fucking infected. Shit can go sideways real fast, and that's just a good example. I mean, granted, it's TV drama, but and also let's not forget the other aspect of it. Besides being afraid out in the woods, you're also naked, so you have to try to come up with some kind of like, I wouldn't say clothing, but just something to cover your shame or your dignity, whatever you want to call it, and just be able to not be stark naked in front of the camera all the time. Because that's the other thing. They give them cameras, but they don't really help them out otherwise, unless it's a medical emergency. And then they're like, oh, if you really need us, fire the flare. Otherwise, good luck.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. Well, we went fucking down a rabbit hole with this one. Who knew we went from Tyson to Rocky to Walking Dead to Naked and Afraid?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's when you know the caffeine's fucking flying. So we are in June at this point.
Yep.
And I'm curious. For me, you know, the kids are about to finish up school in the next week or so, I believe. And, you know, everybody's already asking, oh, what are you going to do for the summer? Where are you going to go? What are you doing? Like, unfortunately, summer plans don't exactly always equate to, hey, let's go on a getaway. I mean, don't get me wrong. We'll probably try to like make a few trips out in there to see some friends or go places, but it won't be like a week-long vacation in Florida. No, fuck that. Out of curiosity, any plans for you, or are you just going to be staying the course, working your ass off, and do what you got to do?
Yeah, I have no time for vacations, so yeah, I don't take them.
Nothing at all?
Nothing.
Not even going to like another... Well, actually, when was the last time you were at the Mahoning? Because that season started up, right?
Yeah, they started. Actually, coincidentally, I was there on Sunday for the first time in almost 2 years.
Has it been? Wow, okay.
Yeah, I didn't go at all in 2023.
And didn't was it the owner or the original, or the founder pass away?
So the guy who originally ran the place, Jeff Maddox, he's been running the place for 20, 30 years, I think, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, he passed away unexpectedly after he was having some type of medical procedure done, and I think he died during an operation, unfortunately. He was an older fella, and I knew his health was like not great, and he was up there in years too. I think he was in his late 60s. But yeah, he was the guy who actually ran the place. He owned it. He rented the land. Let's put it this way: the equipment there for the projectors was so old, you still needed a heavy machinery license to operate it legally.
No shit.
Yeah, they would have the doors of the projection booth open a lot of the time, so you can just kind of like walk by and kind of like look in. And these things, these were some serious pieces of equipment. These are the kind of things where if your finger gets caught in one of those gears, you're losing your finger at best. Ugh. At worst, your whole fucking hand and maybe a little bit of your arm. Like they're yeah, these things are no joke. Even worse, it's even wilder because if something broke on them, they basically they would have to go to a machine shop and effectively have it fabricated because the companies that made these are long out of business because these were models. I believe these are models like back from like the 50s or 60s. So no, but they're apparently they figured everything out. They're up and running. I was there on Sunday. They had a toy fair and then they ran Clue.
Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, and a bunch of people I knew had never seen the movie, and Clue's a lot of fun. And then we figured, hey, it's going to be Sunday. It'll probably be a little bit more on the quiet side. Boy, were we wrong. The place was pretty damn busy.
It's Clue. What do you expect?
Well, no, like when I pulled in there, I got there about a little after 6. I think the gates open at 5, and I was like, the parking lot was pretty damn full. And I was like, holy shit. So
nice.
Yeah, so that was the first time back there. But those are like the quick little like trips that jaunts out here and there. I don't even know the next time we're going to go to it. Oh, they did announce this week, I think in August, they're running The Crow.
No shit, really?
Yeah. The only downside is they love doing Sunday night shows.
Fuck.
Yeah, they're yeah, because usually what they'll do is yeah, they've added a lot more days than I think they really need, but I think they're still trying to ride the torpedo of how popular drive-ins were during the pandemic. So yeah, very often they'll run one movie on Thursday, 2 movies on Friday, 2 movies on Saturday, and then 1 movie on Sunday, and maybe a movie on Tuesday, depending on what time of the year it is.
Oh wow!
So yeah, they were, which is wild because for the longest time they were just like, we run Friday and Saturday. Unless it's a special event, we're going to run the same 2 movies, both Friday night and Saturday night. So if you can't make it one night, come to the other. Or if you really like the movies, come watch them twice. But also, their prices have gone up quite a bit, too. So, yeah.
Oh, really?
I bought a cheeseburger. It was $7.42.
Jesus.
And it's not like a good cheeseburger. It's like a piece of shit cheeseburger.
Yeah, it's what you would expect from a concession stand from a drive-in.
Exactly. So it was one of those deals where I was like, oh, that's why we stop and pick up food at Arby's or Taco Bell or wherever on the way in, because that shit ain't worth it.
That's unfortunate. No, I'm still kind of kicking myself for not going at the end of May when they replayed The Crow in the theaters. Certain theaters around here had it playing again, and I'm like, one night was just busy, didn't have the chance to go out there, and the other night we were recording, so now you got me thinking. I mean,
so
go ahead.
Sunday, August 11th, for the 30th anniversary of the Crow. They're going to run that, and they're going to run a punk rock flea market during the daylight hours. Oh, and Rochelle Davis, the woman who played Sarah, is going to be there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there you have it. Mark your calendar there, guy.
So wait, in August you said? So this will be after the release of the new one.
When's the new one coming out?
The new one, I believe, is mid-July, late July.
Okay, yeah, this is August 11th, so there you go.
Huh. You know people are going to be asking her, so what'd you think of the movie?
Oh, yeah.
She's already had some thoughts about it, and we've talked about that already with Alex Proyas and everybody else saying, no, we want to preserve Brandon Lee's legacy, and maybe a new one probably isn't the right way to go about that. But again, the debate of reboots, remakes, and how they affect the originals. Do they affect the originals? Does it really help or hurt? I mean, look at it this way. We are at a point now, 30 years since the movie was released.
Yep.
There are people who have grown up and never heard of The Crow.
You are correct.
So this Crow with Skarsgård will be a new generation of Crow fans. And who knows? Maybe this new film will spark interest in the older version, or at the very least, now anybody who saw the new trailer, when somebody goes, oh yeah, that's based off of the old movie.
Mm-hmm.
There was an old movie? Yeah, let's go look it up, let's go rent it, or let's go buy it, whatever the case is. And they see Brandon Lee in all his glory with all the other, T-Bird and his misfits. So, are you sending me stuff now?
I'm just sending you the whatchamacallit, the advertising, the flyer for the event, basically.
Gotcha. Don't fucking tease me mid-show. What the hell is wrong with you?
But no, it's interesting too, because it with the 30th anniversary passing and everything like that, a lot of people have even, not only has it created renewed interest in the movie and through the sequel and all that too, but people are also rediscovering the soundtrack as well.
Oh, you mean Henry Rollins Can Buy Another House?
I don't know if we'll let me make that much money out of it. I don't know how the hell residuals work for that one, but hey, give them a couple more bucks. What the hell? They can take another trip out to Siberia or Laos or wherever the fuck his weird ass decides to go today.
Yeah, you're right. That's a good point though. With the renewed interest, going back, like I still want to see what the track listing for a new Crow soundtrack would look like, because the first one was amazing. The second one had a few standouts, but wasn't anywhere near as great as the first one.
Yeah.
And then from there, it was kind of just like downhill. I don't even recall the one for Salvation. And again, Wicked Prayer is like the black sheep of the family. So,
I thought the black sheep of the family was the TV show with Mark Dacascos.
No, see, that, strangely enough, that one still is like pretty well regarded. Like it's they for anybody who hasn't seen it, Crow Stairway to Heaven is the TV series, and Mark Dacascos plays the Eric Draven part. What I didn't like is that they truncated the story from the movie, and they essentially just shot it in daytime.
Yeah,
it's just like, what the fuck are you guys doing? Like, the whole look and aesthetic of the film is just lost. I'm like, all right, this is made for TV. I get it. You're trying to like to appeal to a different audience, and this was, I believe, it was on Sci-Fi. So okay, maybe this might bring some new viewers in. But once you got past the storyline from the movie, then they started exploring different ideas with the character and with the powers, and that part actually got pretty intriguing. Unfortunately, it didn't last long, so I didn't really get a chance to go too far into detail or depth with anything. But it's like, oh, okay, they're messing around with this whole thing. This might explore different aspects of it, and we just never got that part. Again, maybe because it was such a different look and feel from the movie to the TV show. Whatever the case is. It was, again, producers behind the scenes just wanted to tweak things and put their fingers where they were supposed to be just to try to make it, oh, this is my show, whatever the case. But I don't know. No, I would still say that. No, really, I can't defend this one. The TV show is a guilty pleasure in a sense for a lot of people. Let's put it that way.
And dude, it can be. You can enjoy it, and it can still be bad. I mean, it's not the worst thing I've ever seen. I've watched a few episodes of it. I just the directions they chose with that one just make no sense whatsoever to me. And if nothing else, Mark Dacascos is a good actor. The action scenes were cool because he's so freaking talented. And whatchamacallit, I still found it very weird that, like, at the end of the movie, when it was time for him to effectively Hulk up, that's when all of a sudden the paint would appear on his face. That was weird.
Yeah, that's another aspect of it that was kind of strange. But
yeah, that's weird shit.
Again, I don't know if they just didn't have money for the makeup department. Obviously, they had money for CGI. Just to get the makeup to appear. Maybe the Dacascos didn't want to run around the entire time. Or how do you explain a dead guy in broad daylight?
Well, and that was the other thing too. Everybody was like, yeah, he was just like, would leisurely be like hanging out, like, hey guys, how's it going? It's like, dude, you're dead. Like, what's happening here?
The TV show completely ignoring the fact that, you know, the comic book aspect of it, where the Skull Cowboy keeps telling him, like, you've only got so much time. Don't look at her. Do do the job essentially that you were brought back for, and that's it. You're done. Then you can go be with your fiance. But you know, that just completely was like, no, we're just gonna go run around the earth now and just do different things. La 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 la. But again, sci-fi trying different things at the time. Some things stuck, other things, like Stairway to Heaven, just didn't pan out. So,
and maybe, and hopefully, some folks who deserved it got a nice payday. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I did hear, I don't know if we talked about this one at all. So the movie was riddled with just what people refer to as like a curse or bad luck, because there were so many different accidents and there were so many different production problems. Obviously, what happened to Brandon Lee was the number one everybody talks about, But people getting electrocuted, people getting hurt on the sets, and that's just different things that happen. Normally happens on most movie or TV sets to begin with. There are accidents and injuries, let's face it. But this one was just riddled with it for whatever reason. The TV show, one of the stuntmen apparently also died during
Yes.
the production of the TV show, to which people kept saying, "Oh, the Curse of the Crow." Look, if you want to believe it, there's a lot of things that you can tie to it, whatever else, conspiracy theories. But unfortunately, that just means, the production of it just always has something going on with it. I wouldn't be surprised if the new movie, after the film is released, like, oh yeah, we had like really bad accident, or somebody got really hurt, or a stunt went wrong, whatever the case is. There's always something that can be shine a spotlight on, and like, oh yeah, that thing happened, and you're like, oh, okay, the curse continues, but just like,
Well, let's not get too nuts with the curse thing. Yes, there were some accidents, but let's also keep in mind that one of the reasons that everything went to shit was it was a non-union picture filmed. I think they filmed it in North Carolina or South Carolina because they went out there to go save money and get away so they can get around the union rules. To save money, instead of having a proper armorer on set, they had a prop guy handling the firearms, and that's when we ended up with, and that's how, and that cost-cutting technique ultimately cost Brandon Lee his fucking life,
Yep. For anybody who doesn't remember what happened, gun was fired on set during one of the scenes. What was supposed to be a squib that goes off in the gun, they broke the cardinal rule, so to speak, when making firearms for the films, and that they used live ammo, modified it to make blanks.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently that's a huge no-no. So, and I only know this from reading all the various different accounts and stories. That's like one of the main common threads that goes through. Live ammo was used so they could make blanks. So initially when they fired the gun during the scene, it lets out this pop and this flash of light, but they wanted to have a larger effect. So they were playing with different things, and the night before, the previous scene that they used the gun on, that Funboy uses, there was a debris that was stuck in the gun barrel, essentially. And because
it was the bullet itself from the live round.
Was the bullet?
Well, okay, so what they did is, what I recall reading was, so took live rounds for the 44 Magnum. I think it was a 44 Magnum that Funboy was carrying, either a 44 or 357. And what he did is he put the thing in a vise, took off the bullet off of that, and dumped out the gunpowder, and then reseated the bullet in the cartridge. The problem is he didn't discharge the primer, which is a little shot there to ignite the gunpowder, which fires your bullet down the barrel and off the business. So what happened was, in one of the scenes where, and one of the reasons was they wanted to get that shot because when you're looking down the barrel of the revolver, you can see if there are rounds in the other chambers or not. And they wanted it to look good, which I get that. But the problem was when he pulled the trigger on one of these rounds that had the powder emptied out of it, what happened was the primer went off, lodged the bullet in the cartridge, in the barrel of the revolver. And then the blanks that they were using for it, traditionally blanks, what they do is, of course, there's no bullet in it, but it's still got a primer and it's got an extra large charge of powder in it to make them nice and loud and effective at what they do. So when he pulled the trigger on one of those blank rounds and it fired, that force was more than enough to drive the bullet that was stuck in the barrel out and into Brandon Lee's abdomen.
Okay. I agree with most of what you just said.
Okay, where am I off?
I'm not saying that you're off. I mean, you could be entirely right. From what I remember reading, and again, I also read the one book, I can't remember the name of the author, but there was somebody who actually did like a whole behind-the-scenes accounting of the production of the movie, and they even detailed some of the different accidents. And what they referred to when they talk about that incident with the gun was, yes, live rounds were used to make the blanks, but not that the bullet itself was stuck in the chamber or in the barrel of the gun. When they were using extra powder, they were using this wadding, and the wadding got stuck in the barrel. And because when they fired the gun off on the previous scene or previous rounds when they were using it, nobody ever checked the barrel, and the wadding had essentially like burned and got stuck in the barrel. So it's not a bullet, but it became a projectile when the extra powder for the effect went off and essentially launched it like a bullet. And that's what went through the bag and then into Brandon Lee and then got lodged near his spine. Because
Really?
I got to look it up. If I can find it, I'll send it over to you. But yeah, that was the story was, because don't get me wrong, I understand what you're talking about. If you're looking down the barrel of a gun, so to speak, what they wanted was the large flash. Obviously, they're going to play up the sound or, mix the sound later on in post. But they wanted the loud flash and they wanted the smoke to come out of the barrel after it was fired. Hence the extra oomph with the powder. And yes, you can see the tips of the bullets. So if you try to put fake rounds in there, that was the whole thing. So I think it's a little bit of both. Where you're correct, they didn't discharge the primer. And with the primer, the extra powder, it just launched everything. Not a bullet, but from what I remember, it was wadding that they kept referring to. And that was the extra stuff that was in the barrel that was caught because whoever was the armorer or master at arms didn't clear the barrel, didn't check it, didn't, do their due diligence, essentially. And that's what led to a tragic accident. So, but I got to look that one up because I agree with most of what you said up into the bullet part. Because at that point, that would be just flat out negligence. Like that's just, whoever had that job, lock them up because you fucked up.
Yeah, it sounds, no matter how you slice it, it's a senseless death because somebody didn't know how to do the job correctly because they didn't follow proper safety protocols.
Yeah, and I mean, and we've talked about this at, to no end. Whether the movie would have been as popular with or without Brandon Lee's death, would it have been his breakout role? Would have loved to have seen what he would have been in after the fact. Action movies at that point in time were pretty big. So he definitely would have had some nice push if the film had done well on its own. It's all up in the air. It's all the realm of fantasy booking at that point. Because you just don't know what could have happened. Funny story, aside from all this, the club that they use for the pit, the cement factory. Can you name where the
club where what's his face has his office and place?
Yeah, Top Dollar's headquarters and everything.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay, so that's a cement factory, the building itself, and it's been used in prominently in other movies. Can you name 2 other films that use that cement factory?
No.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the first one. That's the hideout for the Foot. So when you're watching the first Turtles movie, the live action, you watch it and you see all the kids hanging around. They got like a little indoor skateboarding area. They have all the arcade games. They have the dojo for the Foot Ninjas. That's the same place, the cement factory. And the other one, Super Mario Brothers, the movie.
Oh, no kidding.
That was the Mushroom Kingdom, or at least the little Koopa world that Mario and Luigi Mario get stuck in. And they run around. Yeah, it was a popular place for a lot of the films at the time where they're like, oh, we need a big place we can just set decorate and everything else, and it's all self-contained. That was used quite a bit. So what was it? I guess it was first. Gosh, I don't remember which one. It was either Mario or Turtles came first. I can't remember off the top of my head which years those were.
Turtles was 90. I remember that much. And I want to say Mario Brothers was either 90 or 93.
I want to say 93.
Okay.
Was that? Yeah, that sounds about right. Yes. And then the next year was The Crow. So,
well, they would have been filming not too far from each other because if Super Mario came out in 93, they probably filmed it in 92-ish.
Yeah.
And they were working on The Crow in the spring of 93. The accident happened, they shut down for a while. And then they finished it up in the fall of 93, I believe.
Yeah. So yeah, right, pretty close to each other, which is pretty crazy when you think about that.
Yeah, it's a wild thing. And let's see, Super Mario Brothers the movie was 1993.
Hmm.
Wow. God, that movie's a piece of shit. Let's call it as it is, man. Come on.
Hey, look, Bob Hoskins admitted he just did it because I think what was it, his kids? Like, oh, you're gonna be in a Mario movie? That sounds really cool. And he's like, all right, no problem. Dennis Hopper admitted he only did it because he needed to buy shoes for his kids.
Yeah. No, I would never fault any of them for getting a payday. It's fine, but it's just not a good movie. Like, that's a movie where when you have Bob Hoskins and you have Dennis Hopper and you have talented performers in it, they probably were like, this movie's just going to be it. This movie's a fucking DOA. So, we're not going to kill ourselves trying to get this one to work.
It scared off Nintendo from making movies for a long, long while.
I'm not sure. I totally get it.
Because they wanted to do a follow-up with Legend of Zelda. But now that you got the people from Illumination who did the more recent one, the CGI Mario Brothers movie, that's done well. So they've already announced they're going to be working on a new one, obviously, because money.
Yeah.
But also, Legend of Zelda might actually get to see the light of day as far as a film. So along the same lines as far as like CG or animated. So, Hey, if they can pull it off, I mean, fans who have been around since back then are finally going to get rewarded for their patience. But
here we go. Principal photography for Super Mario Brothers began on May 6, 1992, and wrapped on July 27th, 1992. It was filmed at Carol Coast Studios in Wilmington, North Carolina.
There you go.
Interesting.
Yep.
Fascinating. Okay. Because Carol Coast Studios, they were the ones who... They did Terminator 2, if I remember correctly.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the history of Carolco. It's definitely got some weird tie-ins with some big time big time elements in Hollywood for that era. I don't even think they're around anymore, truth be told.
Oh, that makes me wonder. For Terminator 2, then was that the the steel mill at the end of Terminator 2?
I am trying to figure that one out right now. I just looked up the Wikipedia for Carolco Pictures. Existed from 1976 to 1995, founded by Mario Kassar and Andrew G. Vajna, which they were responsible for. Carolco hit its peak in the 1980s and early 1990s with blockbuster successes, including the first 3 films of the Rambo franchise, Total Recall, Terminator 2, Basic Instinct, Universal Soldier, Cliffhanger, and Stargate. Guess what killed them?
Mario Brothers?
No, Cutthroat Island in 1995.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they lost $147 million on that film. Oof.
Oh God, I remember where I saw it now. I think we were like, I was going down a rabbit hole on Amazon Prime just to see what was on there.
Yeah.
And Cutthroat Island is currently on there. I'm like, oh wow, the biggest bomb in Hollywood. I kind of want to watch it, but I couldn't get through like a half hour of it. So
I remember catching part of it on cable in the late 90s, and even then I remember watching it just thinking, my God, this is terrible.
It's not going to help it out any that you've got commercial breaks. So
yeah, that too. I mean, even Gina Davis, looking incredibly lovely, did not save that film.
Oh man, different time.
Yeah, I'm kind of like flipping through here. This is wild. Like, I'm looking through their stuff. Like, yeah, the first Rambo movie, First Blood, put them on the map. Wow.
Nice.
Yeah, they were working with everybody for that stretch. Damn, this is funny. Like, Carolco Pictures, like, I remember the logo. Like, when I saw the name, I was like, oh, wow, because that's, as soon as I, like, think of Terminator 2 and, like, the opening credits, I picture the Carolco logo. But, yeah, this is the most I've thought about this a lot of years.
I can already hear the Terminator 2 theme. Dun 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 dun. Shit that gets stuck in your head. You get programmed to remember these damn things.
Okay. The production facility in Wilmington, North Carolina, they purchased from the De Laurentiis Entertainment Group, which was founded by Dino De Laurentiis, which gave us tons of shit.
Flash Gordon.
Manhunter, Blue Velvet, Near Dark, Evil Dead 2, King Kong Lives, which is apparently an Italian iteration of King Kong, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, and they just Transformers the movie.
What was that last one?
They distributed Transformers the movie.
The live action one? Or
no, the cartoon.
The animated, yeah, okay. Yeah, all right. I remember seeing the DEG logo with the little lion at the end of that one.
Yes, sir. That's exactly it. You got it.
Yes. Fucking stuck in my head. Oh, fuck.
You remember when isn't that a wild thing? Like, remember when we were like kids and teenagers and felt like there was about like 9,000 different production companies making movies out in Hollywood? And now I swear to God, there's like 5.
There's 5. Like, yeah, they've dramatically shrunk because either like they went out of business or they bought each other out. But now when you see like the financiers, because they always get a title card as well, there's like 5 or 6 financiers because nobody wants to take the shot by themselves anymore. So they'll reach out to different groups and say, would you mind financing, X amount percentage of the film, and you get some points on the back end or receipts, whatever the case is, and they'll make a deal with that. And so like you'll get the title card, you get the production, but then you get like 4 or 5 different financiers that are like, oh yeah, well, we're gonna pitch in as well. But yeah, times are different, man, and that's why I think that's why it's becoming harder and harder. Everybody talks about how Hollywood doesn't come up with any new ideas, anything that's fresh, or they're not willing to take a chance on new IPs. Well, now you have less and less production companies. So, look, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Hence why we're getting a new Crow. Hence why Transformers is even being remade for a new generation at this point.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it sucks that we're going to get so many things that are going to get rehashed and redone. I wouldn't doubt we see, you know what? I was about to say, I wouldn't doubt if we see another King Kong. Look, there has been a new King Kong, Skull Island. And now we have the Monsterverse.
Yep.
So, that they beat me to it. It's only going to be a matter of time before things just get remade for a new generation, or at least remade because they're like, oh, what do we have sitting in the vault that can make us money? And they'll just go back to the 70s or 80s, or in this case, the 90s or early aughts, and they'll say, oh, we haven't done one of these in a while. And boom, into production, new script, new directors, new actors, brand new effects, repackaged, merchandising.
Yeah, and set it up for at least 3 sequels.
Yeah, and that's the way it goes. So
yeah,
that way legends never die. But at the same time, it's kind of harder and harder to get a new IP, new character, new title, new premise tossed into the mix. So, I don't know.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
Fuck, man, it's kind of depressing.
It is. Back in the old days, about 9,000 movies would come out every week. They'd be in the theater for 3 to 4 months. Nowadays, there's no chance for a sleeper hit. Like back in the old days, like a movie would come out, and by word of mouth, be like, "Yo, I saw this movie just like on a chance the other week at the theater, and dude, you gotta go see it. It's wild." That kind of stuff doesn't happen anymore. So that's like a lost. That's a relic of the past that I don't think is coming back.
I don't think it happens anymore for mainstream movies. Mm-hmm. I think for indie films, it could still happen, especially if it, like something has a small opening with like just a few thousand screens. Or like we were talking about recently with horror movies. I mean, if the right horror movie comes out, I mean, I think it can generate that same feeling. What was the one we were talking about a while back? It Follows.
Oh yeah, that came out. Good God, that was already like 8-9 years ago.
Don't do that. Cut it out. But
well,
yeah.
No, what I'm not saying like you can't have a sleeper hit, but I'm saying you can't have a sleeper hit in the theaters.
That's fair. Okay. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, I was going to say I could definitely see it for like on streaming or on demand or something like that. That I can totally get down with. But yeah, the other methodology, I don't think so.
It Follows apparently is getting a sequel.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
So I don't know what the
I'll
premise.
check it out.
I don't know what the premise is going to be for it just yet, or if they're just going to more of the same. I mean, look. Mm-hmm. Just be happy we're getting a sequel.
Yeah, I'll check it out. I like the first one. I was just watching it again not too long ago.
The other one that I was talking to you about recently, Talk to Me, I think came out 2 years ago. The severed psychic hand that if you hold on to it, suddenly you can see the dead, and if you let them in, then they possess you and things go fucking sideways real fast. I want to see how they do that one if they follow up with a sequel, because it's set up for a sequel.
Yeah.
So I would love to see some continuations of some of these newer premises because, again, new ground, new territory, new storytelling. So just a matter of time, see what happens. But again,
yeah,
Hollywood likes to use tried and true rather than something new. Hey, it fucking rhymed. Yeah, caffeine's working.
Well, there you are. Yeah.
All right, sir. I think we've hit our mark for tonight. How do you feel?
Very tired.
I'm feeling very fucking loopy. I'm going to send you some Vietnamese coffee and you can have some fun.
I mentioned cut my caffeine consumption.
You cut your caffeine consumption?
Yeah, I drink maybe 1 cup of caffeinated coffee a day. I drink mainly decaf nowadays.
Did you become a communist? What the fuck happened?
No, because I got tired of Saturdays because I would only drink coffee at work. And like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I'd say, "Why do I have like such a bad headache?" And I feel like crappy. And I'd say, "Oh, I'm going through caffeine withdrawal."
Yeah, I've been there.
So I said, "Okay, this is bullshit. I want to, and if I ever need coffee to work, I want to make sure it works. So if I have to knock down like a 12 ounce of coffee or 16 ouncer of like the good stuff with caffeine, I want to make sure it's going to get me going. So not one of those deals where I have to drink like an obscene amount of it to get it to work."
Gotcha. Well, as I've mentioned on previous episodes, if I do feel the mood for Vietnamese coffee, I'll do a double shot of those little. They come in these little packets. You know, like when you see like those hydration packets or like the water flavor packets, they're like long and narrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, they come in those kind of packets.
Oh, that's cool.
Mix it into some, hot water or whatever hot liquid of your choice. I don't know, dairy or oat milk. Stir it up. It's already got, I believe, got some like dried or powdered milk inside of it, and probably some sugar. I didn't read the package. Well, no, not true. I read the package. The Vietnamese. I couldn't understand the ingredient list, so I don't know exactly what's in there. But I'm assuming there's other stuff other than coffee. But yeah, I drank it right before the show. Like as I was mentioning earlier, it was hot, so I just wanted it down as fast as I could. So I'm sitting there going, shh, shh, trying to blow on it and just trying to, like a fucking addict, just trying to get it down faster and faster. And once it was like partway down, I'm like, oh, I can feel it starting to kick in already. I'm like, let me call Doug. Oh boy. That's all to say. If you've made it this far, thank you for listening. My name is Eric Hernandez. You still there?
Can you hear me?
No, I can't. You cut out.
Oh, I'm Doug.
That's funny. If you held off for that long, that would have been funny. Like, he's fucking with me now. God damn it. And we are the Rabblecast.